How long have you been doing comedy for?
Oh gosh, well, being silly, I've been doing that my whole life, and I just turned 35. Doing stand-up comedy, I started in November of 2000.
Okay. What is for people that may have not seen interviews or some of your comedy tours? What kind of humor do you like? Is it a dry humor?
I wouldn't say I'm a dry humor. I enjoy objective comedy and perspective comedy, I'll say, because I like relationships. Anything that has to do with any kind of relation between you and your friends, your workers, a mate, pets, any kind of interaction between two beings, I think is funny. It's rife with comedy.
Is it something that maybe only adults should come and see, or is it
I,
kid friendly?
I do perform an adult act, but that's because I did such a long run for all kids that it's kind of like I don't want to be trapped as a little kid forever. So taking my little time dipping my feet in the more grown up end of the pool.
Well, and since you mentioned it, I mean, I know you can't get away from it most times. Saved by the Bell, you were known as Screech.
Right.
You were there for years. I know you've tried getting away from that, but it was one of your starts. It's led you to be who you are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a misconception that a lot of actors they run from the roles that they were known for. The only reason you'd want to separate yourself or distance yourself is to further your acting career. If you come off a show and you walk into a next audition for something dramatic like a CSI or some sort of Sopranos or Breaking Bad or some other big show, you don't want to come in and they say, oh well, we liked you, but we saw too much of that goofy character. Well, in that case, you need to separate yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be known as that goofy character forever. That's the only time. It's never a situation where you are ashamed of it or want to run from it in that way.
You're a big fan of wrestling?
Yeah, always.
All right. When and how did you get into that?
Oh, wrestling that's easy. I got into wrestling as being a kid. Watching all the superstars do all their stuff, and back when I was a kid, it wasn't as at the magnitude that it became. It's actually become quite a phenomenon. I mean, you've got if you're a kid and you want any kind of superhero to follow, like a real life, tangible, visible superhero, wrestling kind of provides that for you. You want the guy who's the crazy genie, or I think they got some sort of genie guy now or something like that. You want the underdog. You want the guy who's the very very big good guy. You've got all your villains that you love to boo and see them get justice by the good guy. It's very much an ongoing soap opera for guys.
Mm-hmm. Would you say you're construed as an underdog?
Yeah, I like playing the underdog because the underdog is usually something that's overlooked or not taken into full value. And I think a lot of my music that I'm into and a lot of the movies I go for are things that aren't the widely acceptable mass consumption products right off the market. Frank Zappa, for instance, was a big inspiration for me with music, and a lot of people aren't driving along listening to Frank Zappa right now in their cars.
And have you been in a band, or you had a band?
Yeah, I'm musically inclined. Have been my whole life. There's not a lot of time to do bands. Doing a band is great and it's fun. It's a great release of energy, creativity. But when you get to the bottom line of it, everyone's said, "Oh, you're trying to be a rock star." No, this is something that I would do even behind closed doors and no one would ever see. I'd sit in my living room and play bass, right?
What can people expect from you from here on out? Is there anything that you've been wanting to do that you haven't? What do you see for yourself in the future?
Well, I've done the goofy roles. I've done the bad guy roles. I've done a lot of public stunts and a lot of crazy things like that. I think next is probably more of I'm getting at the age where I want kids. I want to settle down and I have a great woman in my life, and we're doing the marriage thing. So I want to sit back and curtail more of a refined adult view now. I mean, I'm still going to be crazy with my comedy, of course, but I think radio might be in my future. I think kid entertainment is important because I think that there's not a whole lot out there that's like Saved by the Bell was, and I think that's important. For me, of course I do, my act is not for the kiddies, but that's when the parents have deserved the time to leave the kids at home, and that's at the club. You shouldn't be bringing your kids to the club. And I think that at some point I'm probably going to delve back into wholesome entertainment for family growth. I mean, you've got Saved by the Bell was the first live action sitcom in the world. We started out and we cornered that market. Before us, it was just Bugs Bunny, Smurfs, things of that nature. So in other words, I want to take it a different route and maybe find something that families can actually sit down and watch TV together. Because nowadays I'm noticing a lot of friends and family, a lot of people that I've seen, they will put their kids in front of the TV or a video game console and then leave the room. There's no get together time.
Right.
And so and I did buy the Kinect Once Upon a Monster. I bought the Sesame Street game.
And what comedians did you like when you were growing up?
Well,
What inspired you?
Well, the reason that I'm a product of my generation as far as doing the type of humor that I'm doing now is I grew up with your George Carlin, your Eddie Murphy, when he did Raw and Delirious, your Sam Kinnisons, Richard Pryor, and they were all boundary-pushing comedians. They were all very, I would be put to bed and then parents would watch it together. However, as an adult, you don't really, all those legends, you don't have doing active, stand-up comedy really, and I've moved to a very different style of comedy as far as my own personal taste. I'm a big fan of Brian Regan. Yeah, and Brian Regan is, I don't even think he says shoot in his act. I think I'm an odd bird. I follow both sides of the field.
And your material? Where do you get most of it?
My material is mostly observational of things that just happen. But I can't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write comedy gold right now. I can't lock myself. If I lock myself in a room for 2 hours, I might sit there for 2 hours and nothing happens. But then I go out for lunch and 10 things happen on the way to lunch where I'm going, wow, I got to remember this. And I think that's really funny. I'm a big fan of I don't know what you call it, just absurdity, where like you go out and you see a sign at the store. I just saw one recently that said, buy 3 for the price of 3. And it was this big advertisement, this big special sale. And 3 for the price of 3, what a deal. I got to shop here. Do you have a club card?
I'll buy 6 of them, right?
Yeah, and I think that comedy in general, my style, like a lot of people will say, oh, well, right now he's doing shock. He's doing stuff for shock. All comedy is shock. Mm-hmm. If there's no shock, then that means you see the punchline coming. By nature of a joke, the punchline should be a surprise that you don't see coming, hence shock. So a lot of people, and I think George Carlin was one of the people who pointed that out. And I don't know, I'm easy when it comes to that. I like brilliant minds. And sometimes, like I said, underdogs, sometimes it's harder to find. George Carlin, everybody knew was brilliant. There's some people out there, Mitch Hedberg, who's greatly missed, was a fantastic comedian. And there are some people out there that maybe saw him one night and just didn't get it. And that just surprises me because he was really, really witty.
And like how many days a year do you tour?
I'm out as often as I can be. I try to take a break. I'm on the road so much. I'm very much a homebody. When I'm at home, I like to stay at home. I'm out 47 weeks a year usually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So a lot of hotels and airports.
Yeah.
It's not.
Home is Los Angeles?
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But you grew up in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I grew up in Northern California. I was born in San Jose, and then I moved to the LA area for like 25 years. I've been 10 years out in Wisconsin. In California, I was born in the Northern. I moved to Southern for acting, and then I moved to Wisconsin for the people. I just
like the people.
Yeah, I just like Midwest people a lot.
Oh, great.
And
good place.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, everyone always asks me, why would you move to Wisconsin from California? And so, getting a chance to bring people out there or friends, they get to see, well, yeah, the weather, it can get cold at times, but if you can overlook the cold, it's actually pretty sweet.
Snow and sled and that.
When I moved in, I only thought this happened in myths, legends, and cartoons. I had a woman bring me a home-baked apple pie to welcome me to the neighborhood. That doesn't happen. I lived in LA 25 years, you never even know your neighbors.
Right.
They never even come over. So to get to,
That's a good time for my story. So like
yeah,
the
I ate
Midwest,
that
like
pie.
the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad is a really good drama. I've really enjoyed that.
Any comedy shows you like right now?
Yeah, Big Bang Theory I'm enjoying a lot.
Big
Yeah.
Bang,
Big Bang Theory is really good. Big fan of the Muppets. The Muppet movie came out, and that was yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was like it was like the first Muppet movie.
Oh, yeah. And what TV show would you like to be on?
Oh gosh, any of the ones I watch. I mean,
Big Bang, you
I'd,
did good.
I'd love to do a Big Bang Theory. I'd love to do a Breaking Bad or a Dexter. Dexter's
Oh, Dexter.
yeah, Dexter's been a fantastic drama. I didn't mention that. I didn't mention that first because season 1 through 4 was really, really well written, and then season 5 was I wasn't as impressed with, and the last season 6 I wasn't as impressed with. It took a while to get going, and I like Edward James Olmos too.